1. Hello, this is a presentation on the experiential approach to raising awareness for a nonprofit by Morgan Moen and Kristen Platts. A summary of the project. The project focused around raising awareness and promoting an event hosted by a nonprofit organization. This would be done in a collaboration with them using social media to promote attendance at events. A survey would be conducted to gauge whether promotional material was experiencing success, and consumer interest and preferences would be collected to guide the organizations to deliver value. The nature of a nonprofit. Marketing for nonprofits is an area that is expanding in many ways. In our local community of Stanislaus County, we have a rich agricultural industry with a thriving downtown area looking to come back from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Internal Revenue Service, as of 2023, nonprofits operate to serve a community-oriented purpose that seeks to improve lives in various ways, like providing food, medical services, educational support, as well as in other ways. In no way should they use the funds generated to enrich a private stakeholder. They often have to raise money themselves, apply for grants from the government, or are supported by a foundation and private donors. These contributions are often tax deductible and are often made because they are seeking to improve the lives of community members. This project included the Great Valley Museum, Modesto Area Partners in Science, and the Modesto Junior College.
Modesto Junior College is located within Stanislaus County and serves a wide demographic from students currently enrolled in high school all the way up to lifelong learners, providing associate's degrees, certificates, and other credentials for the workforce. A description of the external environment is relevant to understanding the nonprofit entity of Great Valley Museum, because this is the community it seeks to serve. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Stanislaus County's population is currently at 552,878 and can be broken down by ethnicity: 49% Hispanic or Latino, 38% white, 6.3% Asian, 3.7% Black or African American, and 2.2% American Indian, and 1% Native Hawaiian. The socio-factors that are included in the composition of the residents pertinent to the study and goals of the GVM would include home internet and computer availability, poverty rate, and education level of the primary caregiver. GVM posts videos of their Modesto area partners in science, MAPS lectures on YouTube for the broader community to engage with and view. Currently in Stanislaus County, as measured over 2017 to 2021, 93.6% of households have a computer and 88.7% have broadband internet subscriptions, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Poverty, being a leading indicator of success in a community, dictates the exposure that people can devote to other leisure activities like study and science. Stanislaus County currently has a poverty rate of 14.1%. This would indicate that a large portion of the county's population would not be able to access the MAPS events, despite being free, because of external factors that community members are having to prioritize.
MAPS, as an acronym for Modesto Area Partners in Science, is a partner with the Great Valley Museum, which is under the guise of MJC. The program is designed to bring the community into contact with leading scientists, innovators, and research leaders that are of interest. The series has been facilitated since 1990 and has promoted science to the broader community of Stanislaus County. The programming is free to all and is open to all, including students of high school and college and adult learners. They receive funding and support from various individuals, as well as the MJC Foundation, Stanislaus County Office of Education, Modesto Teachers Association, and Great Valley Museum, as well as private donors. MJC has an obligation to facilitate a science curriculum and uses GVM to help in this process. GVM has a museum with many different exhibits that range from regional importance, such as wetlands and habitats, to astronomy with planetary displays and evening telescope observations. GVM is a technical department of MJC and receives funding from NJC, as well as other sources to support its operations. GVM in turn supports MAPS with their operations. They organize the potential usage of an auditorium and facilities use of their lecture halls. MAPS receives organizational support from MJC Public Relations Department for marketing. The bulk of the lecture loads fall on the committee that governs MAPS and is in fact paid by MAPS at a nominal amount. That is in which lecturers may be invited to attend. Lecturers are compensated for their efforts and taken out for dinner the evening before. With this partnership, leading scientists and researchers can come and provide consumers of information with relevant research, thus enlightening our greater community. To promote the attendance of MAPS, we were to first conduct research on who was attending. This valuable information would enlighten and drive our marketing tactics to be on certain social media platforms. The survey was created and provided to GVM to administer at the event, available in Appendix 1. From that point, it was discussed with GVM that a concerted effort would be deployed where media provided by the presenters would be published in timely increments of most effect. A calendar was created to support this, available in Appendix 2. The measures of the effect would be observation of attendance, changes in survey data, and number of followers on social media accounts. After collecting this data, we would access and evaluate how effective our strategies were prompting MAPS and related social media platform growth. The Family Science Show, or the Physics Show out of Foothill College, had an attendance of about 300 people, all in the MJC East Campus auditorium. Most of the adult attendees had multiple kids with them, as was the unique event for MAPS, in that it was geared more towards kids rather than cutting-edge science lectures. There were two following events, one on March 24th and April 14th, that were more in the under the scope of an advanced lecture, one by Dr. Jeanette Pirlo and Joe Mandriso.
Walking into the environment of the auditorium was pleasant. The environment was clean, there was no observable odor, and the lighting was appropriate to see. The seating was plentiful, and there were available seats in the first couple of rows. We waited patiently for it to start, and then the physics show began. The next lecture was presented by Dr. Janine Pirlo, where she talked about a new 5.6 million year old site in Florida with over 40 individual gomphotheres ranging from newborns all the way to very old individuals. The lecture began by talking about her career for about 20 minutes and how she fell into studying paleontology. This portion was a largely motivational portion that was geared towards young adults getting more into science and exploring potential careers in the sciences. The body of the lecture consisted of technical data and field observations of digging and finding various fossils related to turtles and gomphotheres. The process for examining specimens was explained, and pictures throughout the lecture helped enlighten the audience to the specifics that were explained. The lecture concluded with a Q&A session where audience members were allowed and encouraged to ask questions. This was an interactive part of the audience demonstrated engagement. For the third science night, Joe Medeiros, a former faculty member at MJC, gave his talk on the exciting nature of biology. The lecture started with an intro to philosophy and religion in relation to the majesty of plants. Throughout his presentation, he would reference many books from narrative to cutting-edge research being done on fungi as a medicine and its interaction as a food store for other plants.
To promote the spring series of MAPS presentations, social media was expected to be used. These virtual platforms would include Facebook and Instagram. On these platforms, there were 3 identified on Facebook and 4 on Instagram. The 2 on Facebook would include MJC, the GVM, and MAPS pages. The 4 on Instagram would include MJC, GVM, at Stan State Biology, and at Jeanette Pirlo. To properly prepare a media kit or promotional material was solicited from the presenters. This included pictures from their lectures and descriptions about what they were. This would be used to create promotional material that would be then pushed out on various platforms and accounts with timeliness organized by the calendar. The goals of our efforts would be to engage the greater community of Stanislaus County. So using social media would be a low-cost method of outreach. Also, county demographic data suggests over 85% of county residents have access to a computer and internet, making this an effective medium to promote with. The promotional materials would be presented in English and not geared toward any specific age group. For the promotion of the event, social media platforms were employed to raise awareness at low cost. MJC, GVM, CSU Stanislaus, and MAPS promoted the event on Instagram and Facebook to raise awareness for the events. When viewing the results of Stomping Through the Marshes, a look at Gomphotheres from north central Florida, impressions were not resulting in interactions or engagements. MJC Facebook group posted on March 7th and had 352 counts reached with 2 post engagements, and on March 22nd had 524 accounts reached with 3 post engagements. Looking at this ratio without comparison gives for limited analysis when determining the effectiveness of its social media presence. Instagram was also utilized as a low-cost method of promoting the event and resulted in larger numbers and more engagements. MJC Instagram profile resulted in 852 accounts reached and 24 likes on March 17th, and then 910 accounts reached with 18 likes on March 22nd. The postings were similar in design and content with marginal changes. Story reels were also used, but the data from those becomes unavailable after 48 hours. A striking point of analysis, or in the analysis, after analyzing the data available from this, has to do with the ratio of followers to interactions or engagements. Available in the chart is the number of impressions on people and the percentage to the platform's account following. The chart reflects large percentages of impressions on smaller accounts. GVM, even with smaller account followings, did not achieve a Please excuse, we had to pause right there. The chart reflects the larger percentages of impressions on the smaller accounts. GVM, even with smaller account followings, did not achieve a proportionate impression when compared to MJC. In fact, MJC has a substantially larger following on both its platforms accounts, and yet achieve about the same level of impressions, resulting in a lower percentage of its audience that it reached. This analysis suggests that advertising or promoting on a larger platform might not achieve larger numbers of impressions. There are other factors that can skew these results, such as the number of postings per day, but this data collected would clearly lead to an understanding that advertising for MAPS events is more effective on GAVM's accounts rather than on the MJC account.
Our efforts to increase their follow did not increase by any significant amount. Levels of followers largely stayed the same. The survey that was created and planned was not delivered with any success. The Google survey that was linked via a QR code was inadequately presented or not presented at all in no actionable data collection. So in conclusion, when executing this marketing plan, that is posting content on the various platforms to raise awareness, had many different aspects with multiple connections and outreach points. Multiple partners from MJC to MAPS and individual presenters like Janine Pirlo were utilized in a less than effective capacity. Through observations, our efforts of planning and promotion were not effective to promote attendance of the MAPS presentations. We did not observe marginal changes in attendance rates. Similar demographics were observed between the 2 lecture events, suggesting that social media postings were not effective to drive attendance. The objective to increase the number of followers on the social media accounts seemed to have increased over the span of the project, but not by any significant margin that would suggest our efforts played any part. A success point is that Connections were made with multiple parts of a large nonprofit organization, as well as with external partners like individual lecturers and Stanislaus State. This was an important part that developed as an essential element for promotion. Learning the existing infrastructure is vital, as committing to timelines requires multiple deadlines and expectations of others to facilitate effective promotion that goes beyond just the simple posting on a platform. These connections would become durable and refined, increasing the effectiveness of promotion and lead to greater success of promotional efforts.
According to the GVM director, MJC did not want to push out any material it did not create. There could be various reasons for this to include appropriateness, MJC branding concerns when attached to a guest speaker, and copyright issues. All three factors can lead to greater delay in social media postings, as well as diminished diversity of advertising content. The idea that this is, in fact, could be a beneficial would suggest they are trying to stay on specific agenda dictated by their committee or board of officers and limit postings for any one department. As MJC is a large nonprofit organization with limited resources and capacity that must be spread throughout the school's departments, it is understandable that they must be selective with what to push out. MJC, as a nonprofit, would be better served if it operated its media platform more liberally and allowed others to service them by supplying content for posts. To adopt a protocol for approving material that is in line with the organization's mission and vision should be approved at the discretion of the chief marketing officer or executive. And when content becomes questionable or controversial, it is to be reviewed by a committee for approval. With a nonprofit that has limited staff, experience with marketing, and limited crowdsourcing of media, content creates an environment with a limited capacity to promote events. For example, the creation of a survey intended and assigned to be posted to collect participants' demographic information and interest was not effectively presented. Viewers had a remote chance to scan a QR code for the first event and was not presented in the following event, leading to a lack of data and understanding of viewers. Without understanding the participants' interests, maps will not be informed of what the consumers are seeking to learn about. A final limitation of this project involved limited access to posting on the appropriate social media accounts. Without having administrative access or account management access, the creation of the content had to be created on a separate software program and then emailed for uploading, which resulted in complications with opening files and delay or omission of postings. With regards to improvements we'd like to discuss next. The first improvement is that no signage was found or greeting table is a missed opportunity to engage with consumers. This is an opportunity to expand on MAPS and GVM's other offerings that people may be interested in, as well as a way to promote future events. Having a greeting table would be helpful in this regard. Number two, lecturers should send a media kit using pictures from the lecture and having a few bits of written content associated with each picture well in advance or 1 month of the specific event in order to show the potential audience that they can expect if they attend. And personal knowledge of science expertise or having advanced knowledge of the presentation or product or service would help engage interest. A lack of such knowledge creates a limited foundation for creating content. Number three, list out objectives prior to beginning a media campaign that follows the SMART goal. Number four, create a Facebook events group that would streamline the sharing of the events. And number five, encourage the media attention that presenters could get from the exposure of their lecture. The promotion of their institution, their projects, and media account should be an offering of lecturing for MAPS in a greater fashion. And the last note about pricing structure. MAPS in general is free. MAPS is largely supported by the infrastructure of the GVM in that it provides the location organizing. The payment and compensation to the lecturers is another element to the necessity of the success of the MAPS presentation. Understanding this dynamic is important when analyzing improvements in their pricing structure. Based on visual observation of participants of the events, I would suggest that MAPS presentations are largely attended by affluent and educated people from the community, and this would be from the minority group of the total population in Stanislaus County. For GVM to better execute their mission, they should employ a new pricing model to capture the value provided in this event. MAPS presentations are free, and it would deter many people from going if there was a charge. A solution then would be something like a membership connection with other products and services that GVM can offer. GVM does charge a $5 fee to get into its museum, and developing a price model that would grow the proceeds from these events would better serve the greater community and promote the goals of GVM. An example of this type of model might be something like an annual pass to the museum and bundle it with access to these lectures with some exclusive offerings like being entered into a raffle, a special event like Sleep in the Museum, and maybe a discount at the store. There are possible limitations to a price model like this, but sufficient value is not being captured at these lectures, which in turn is resulting in less than ideal attendance at presentations, inadequate facilitation and advertising of events, as well as insufficient funds to pay for premium lecturers. With these suggestions, these limitations, and this description, this concludes our presentation and project.